Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Anything But Hold'em. We have a very special episode tonight as we play our very first Anything But Hold'em tournament. Tonight it is an 08, wonderfully arranged for us by our good friend Rosalind, AKKA. She set it up with stars, and it's in the tournament lobby of stars. If you search Elron, password Elron66, jump in. We're going to be streaming from start to end. No matter where I finish, I will stream until a winner is declared. We are no longer playing the fixed limit Badoogie. We are now playing our Anything But Hold'em fixed limit Omaha high-low. Let's increase that just a little bit. There we go. Alrighty, we're still a few minutes away from the start of the tournament. There's still plenty of time to call your friends in to reg yourself. It's going to be a good time, I think. We got some players that play 08 a little bit. We got some players that have never played 08 before. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to be streaming the whole thing. While I'm online and playing, you're going to be able to see my hole cards 3 minutes later. So it'll give you an idea if you've never played before, the kind of strategy that you might want to use if you're listening in on stream at the same time. If you're on my table, well, hey, you're going to get information about my about the hands I'm playing and the strategy I'm using 3 minutes later. So, well, I guess that gives you a bonus. That's just the way it's going to be when we stream these sorts of tournaments. So, it's going to be a lot of fun, I think, and I'm glad to see a few people. We have got 12 entries in now, so that's very cool, and the more the merrier. The clock is clicking down. We've got 3 minutes to go until the first cards are dealt. There's a 10 minutes of late registration after that, of course, as well. So who knows what we'll end up with for a total. I'm actually pretty happy with 12 people in our first ever tournament so far. It was kind of arranged quickly. I very much thank Rosalind for that. But I mean, we really only had a couple of days to set this up and promote it, so it's awesome to see people in, and hopefully next week and in coming weeks we will see even more people. We're going to switch up the game as we go. As this is Anything But Hold'em, about the only thing that we won't play on our weekly tournament is going to be Hold'em. We will play just about everything else at some time or another. I'm especially going to be looking forward to things like the horse and the 8-game ones, because those mixed games of mixed games are the ones that I really enjoy. The clock is ticking down now to our first ever tournament. Let's have a look at the lineup so far. We've got the editor of Poker News Canada, Lane Anderson, is hanging out in the tournament with us. We have got another colleague from Poker News Canada, Anthony Charter, hanging out as well. Our good friend Rosalind, of course, who set this up for us. We have got Can Hitman, my good friend and lady friend, Miss Gilly. And hello to everybody sitting at my table. Hello, Lane. Hello, Fadia. And good to see you, Fadia. Nice to see you here. Hello, Digicision. Hello, DKE Slips. And hello, Miss Gilly, sitting right beside me. Full disclosure, Miss Gilly and I are very good friends in the real world, and we hang out together quite a bit, and are probably like smoochy good friends. So yeah, we just for just for full disclosure. I'm not sure that matters on a poker table, but yeah, there you go. Alrighty, I think we're going to be, I think we're live for a couple of minutes now. The tournament should be coming up on the screen very shortly as the game begins. We got a nice turnout on the live stream as well so far. It looks like there's a few people listening in while we play. I'm sure they're all on my table looking for the information that they're going to get from watching me play. The only person we're missing from the Poker News crew is our good friend Matthew Perot, who we gather is picking up his girlfriend from the airport and has probably been delayed in that. If you're wondering how to play the game, it is essentially regular Omaha, except that the pot is split between a high hand and a low hand. If you don't know what I mean when I say regular Omaha, Omaha is a variant of poker where you get dealt 4 cards. There's 5 community cards dealt out. You have to use 2 cards from your hand and 3 cards from the board to make a poker hand with. It's in the form of PLO, or pot limit Omaha. It's one of the most fastest growing forms of poker around today. The 08 variant isn't quite as common, and the limit variety is less common these days as well. Although the limit variety is more common in the 08 game than it is in the regular high game. For the record, 08 and Omaha high-low are just 2 terms for the same thing. People call them different things in different contexts, depending. Oh, Waskley, how we doing? Good to see you, Waskley. Come jump in the tournament if you want. We're still registration is still open for 8 minutes. So by the time you hear this, it'll probably still be open for 3 minutes. Alrighty, now this is the sort of hand that you actually want to play in a high-low scenario. We've got the suited clubs here to play with. We've got an ace-deuce, which we love. So we're pretty happy with that situation. Fadian has raised into us. We know Fadian from the PSO games that we've played. And he's a very solid player, so we're not thinking that he's necessarily weak at this point. But we know we're relatively strong, so we absolutely need to see a flop and want to see a flop at this situation. So I definitely have to call. I could certainly cap out the betting here. I mean, I've got a strong enough low, but I don't think my high is strong enough to really want to cap out the betting here. So I'm just gonna call through. We didn't get a ton of low cards in there, but we got enough. We got enough to. No, we don't have enough to keep playing. We're actually in pretty rough shape here at this point. We're probably gonna go check, and yeah, and Fad's gonna take it with a pair of sixes. So we had him on low. Obviously, he's not playing a low there, but just sometimes you don't get a low, and that's the way it goes. For the record, we have something of mixed game royalty playing with us today. On my table, sitting across the table from me is Digicision, who in the real world is Ken Lowe, who quite literally wrote the book on Dealer's Choice and then actually cashed in that tournament at the World Series of Poker this year. So he's somebody to definitely watch out for in this game. He definitely knows 08 well. He wrote a great long article for us at Poker News Canada about it. So I would definitely want to pay attention to what he's doing. Now we've hit a pair of aces here. we've got a low card, and we've just turned into the diamonds. So we've hit our backdoor diamond draw. I think we need to keep going on this. Our low draw is obviously pretty crappy at this point, but we've now got aces and sevens as well as our backdoor diamonds. So I think we want to get him off of, if he's well, I suppose he's got a low now if he's coming to a low. The question is, does he like his low? I think that we're probably good for high, and I'm guessing that we're probably splitting this pot. I'm going to check call, I think, here, just for pot control. That makes good logical sense. I figured we were going to end up splitting that one. Once I paired the 7, I really, my low draw was gone. So, Fadian, good to see you in chat as well. Good to see you listening in. Love to have you hanging out at the tournament here. Burko, good to see you as well. You guys gonna jump in the tournament maybe? Come join the tournament with us? We still have 5 minutes of late reg left, so by the time you hear this, probably 2 minutes of late reg. Fadian is our early chip leader with 1,940 chips, followed by Wazibir in second with 1,730, and Roslyn, AKKA, in third with 1,682. So I'm looking forward to having this. It's fun. We've got 13 in now. 13 people in. I think Führer Hill or Lanny M has just joined in. So it's great. Good to see everybody here. Curious in chat, let me know what my sound quality is like here. I am test driving a new headset, so I'm curious what you guys think of the sound quality. This one is obviously the sort of hand you typically want to get rid of, I think, in a high-low situation. The 6-7 is going to give you a pretty crappy low at the end of the day, and something that's probably going to be capped out a lot in an Omaha situation. The 6-6 is okay to play for high, and looking for trips and things like that. And obviously with the 6-7 you can play. Obviously with the 6-7 you can play straights on that end and so on. But it's just going to get beat out a lot. Likewise, in this situation, 4 diamonds, you've crippled your diamond draw basically at that point because most of the diamonds are already in your hand. So it's a really tough one. With the 3-7, I mean, if I've got an ace deuce there, I might be thinking about it more so for the low draw and just see what happens on the high. But at the end of the day, I think that we're probably going to be pretty far behind that, and so we were. Again, 3 diamonds is not our favorite thing to see here. The ace-5 is not the best low in the world, so I think we're going to dump that as well. There's plenty of time to play here. We're still at low blinds, 10-minute blind levels, I think. Could be 15, I'm not sure. 15-minute blind level, so it's a long time. We've got lots of time to play at the low levels. We got a lot of time to play at the low levels, so there's really no reason to go crazy with midland hands or hands that you're speculating a ton on. So I also know for a fact that with Miss Gilly to my right, she's a very tight player. So when she enters the pot, I've got to think that she's on a pretty strong hand for the most part. And she's a relatively strong thinking player. So put those two together, and a lot of the times I'm going to make sure that I'm playing pretty strong hands when she comes into the pot in front of me. Scoopage for Lane. Lane's the one who came into this claiming that he knew nothing about Omaha high-low, and here he has just scooped the first pot he's played in. I think that Lane's been snowing us. Yeah, Ken also wrote a bunch of articles for us at Poker News Canada actually before the WSOP mixed game or dealer's choice, I mean, came up. Basically, in the 10 weeks leading up to the dealer's choice, he wrote 10 articles, one for each game that they were going to play in the dealer's choice, and they are fantastic articles about all of the various games that were played in that particular deal. So I suggest you go look at those as the kind of short version, and go definitely look out for his book, because like I say, he wrote the book on mixed games, and then he won then he cashed out at WSOP. So you can't really get many more credentials than that, folks. Well, I think too we might have an issue with this being Sunday. Uh, Twitch might also be uh, fairly busy with other people streaming and so on. So I wonder if their bandwidth is limited. That might also be why we're slow. Rosalind's having problems listening in to the stream and watching the stream because she thinks she's got bad internet. But I'm thinking that it's probably a case of um, it might be a case of Twitch having issues. Right. So Gilly raised in front of me, small blind into big blind, and now she's let out again. I'm gonna think that she's got a big high hand. I'm quite happy with my low hand at the moment, though. Of course, I didn't hit my low hand, so I'm probably not that happy with it anymore. Um, but I'm going to bet, and I'm going to see if I can bet her off of it. She's a pretty tight player, and she doesn't really necessarily like to play hands that aren't made already. She also knows that I could do this to her, but in this case, she's decided to fold on us. Um, we're going to get involved with this one as well, too. The deuce three is nice. We got the diamonds. The deuce three is obviously useless at this point. We hit our pair of nines, but that's really all we've got at this point, which is probably not a great thing on this board. So I think we're going to fold out here. This is a pretty gorgeous high-low hand. The only way it could sort of be better is if it was ace five of clubs, king deuce of hearts. That's really the only way that it would be a better situation. But I mean, I'm obviously not going to complain a bunch about that. Alrighty, so we have not flopped great for our ace deuce king five double suited. The hearts are not so bad, but it's not really the suit that we wanted to see cards come in. And now that it's jack jack 6-6 on the board, a jack 6 gives us gives somebody a full house potentially. So I mean, I don't think we're thrilled about our hearts anymore. Um, we've got hearts, but we're not thrilled about them. We're gonna call a bet almost certainly. I think we're probably gonna check behind if he had checked to us. Yeah, and the bigger flush. I mean, that's always going to be the possibility. We're gonna get rid of this one. No need to really get involved with there, I think. Hey, Steve-O, how you doing, man? Captain Kirk is around. Sorry you missed the reg. Would have been fun to have you in here. Didn't see you in the home game series this time around very much, or maybe we were just always on different tables this time. But I missed it. I was thinking of you though because there's somebody in this month's series by the name Talos, and I figured that you and him ought to get together. That's a very inside joke. Steve O'Pick has a Captain Kirk um, icon on his stars thing, and of course Talos is one of the planets from Star Trek, and that just proves that I'm a big Star Trek geek. Just proves I'm a big Trekkie geek. 2-6-8 queen double suited. We could probably get involved with this and see what happens with other people and what comes out on the flop. I think we're going to bet into lane on this, even though we didn't hit anything. Um, although let's do it Elrond's probably not the best. We just hit a queen, so we've got a top going that's probably reasonably good. Um, and we just hit two pair on the river as well as completed some sort of a low draw. So I think we're good. Are we good enough to bet here? There are some straights that came in, and straights are things that happen fairly often here. There's lots of lows that beat us. I don't think we're good enough to value bet here, frankly, so I'm just going to check behind. But I think we're going to take at least half the pot. Yeah, it looks pretty lane, but in a high-low context, yeah, not so much. Yeah, not so much, buddy. Yeah, we do miss you for sure, Steve-O. It's nice to see Lane back in some of the PSO stuff this time around. I'm obviously playing a hand that's probably not great in a high-low context here because I've got absolutely no low possibility whatsoever with this. But like with Lane, the king just kind of seduced me, and I can't get away from it. So I'm gonna probably try to pot control as much as I can and put as little into this pot as I can see. But Well, glad to see you here, Steve. I just wanted to put something like this together because people see so much. People see so much Hold'em going on, but they never see anything else. I mean, you see the occasional PLO thrown out there these days, but you don't see any of the other games. And there's so much more to poker than just Texas Hold'em and Pot Limit Omaha. Um, this is an example. Omaha High-Low is a wonderful game, and it's exciting, and there's different. I have no idea how a pair of kings managed to win that pot. Frankly, that's just shocking to me. Um, I really don't know how King managed to win that pot. Frankly, it was the board was looking just so horrible for my hand there. But hey, I'll take it. I will take it. It's nice to see so many people hanging out with me on a Sunday evening with anything but Hold'em. The stream is fun. I love playing this. I actually find, and I've mentioned this before, I actually find I'm sure that my play has improved or improves when I'm streaming for one simple reason, and it's that I'm forced to really think about what I'm doing in the hand before I do it because I have to explain it to the people that are listening on the stream, or I have to explain it on the stream. So I have to think about it and I have to talk through it and I have to have a logical reason for doing it. One of the things that I realized very quickly when I sat down and did my first couple of streams was that there were times where I was doing things and I really had no articulatable reason for doing them. And I think that's probably a pretty bad situation to be in poker. If you don't know why and you can't explain why you're doing something, you probably shouldn't be doing it, I think. So that and that alone, I think, has plugged a leak in my game just by doing this. Um, uh, j- just by doing this stream. We are on a 3-minute delay, so I will occasionally type things in the chat window in real time, but I'm mostly avoiding that. I'm going to speak through the window or through the stream for the most part, just because it keeps things in real time and it doesn't get us out of sync. This is the sort of hand that I don't mind playing. We're double suited. We got a pair of tens for our high. We've got a four deuce for our low. We're less concerned about the high pairs and the two low cards conflicting with each other in Omaha than we are in stud for reasons that I'll explain as the hand goes on, I think. Basically, in stud, you've only got 7 cards to work with, and they're all your 7 cards. When you get one that matches your high pair, it takes one away from that you can use on your low card. Now, obviously, that's the same case in Omaha, but in the 08 situation with the board here, at this point I can easily 3, and I've got both sides covered. So yeah, I mean, now that this has come out, I'm not in as good a shape as I was. I'm going to check through and see if we can't see a cheap river here. Um, obviously with the pair of deuces, I'm not great on the low. The pair of deuces don't help me at all for my high, of course, because I got the pair of tens, which cap them, and I can only use two cards out of my hand. Um, and actually, I think with Gilly betting into the pot here, even in position like this, I'm probably not really going to be in good shape, so I'm going to get the heck out of here. Yes, Lane and everybody has spammed Twitter for me tonight. That was awesome. I appreciate that. We ended up with a total of 13 people in, and what that means is we are giving out 3 prizes at the top. Top 3 places are paid. A min cash tonight. Third will be $2.60. First place will be $6.50. Yeah, no surprise in the chip count. Seeing our friend Ken Lowe Digicision up at the top in second place, Fadian up at the top in first place. No surprise there either. This obviously is the sort of hand you'd play in a high situation. In a low situation, it's a pretty precarious hand to be putting chips in on. Um, just because there's no low possibility whatsoever. So when the board comes out, 2, 3, 8, yes, you're in with something on your high, but you're in pretty bad shape at that point. So very well spammed, Lane. We certainly appreciate your spamming abilities, and everybody's. Rosalind was retweeting me, Ken was retweeting me. Everybody was retweeting me. So it was great to see all that support today. I am currently sitting in seventh with 1,650 chips. Current standings are Fuhrer Hill with 2120 on top has just taken over the chip lead. Fadian with 2020 is in second. Rosalind AKKA in third with 1802. Digicision in fourth with 1750. And Miss Gilly in fifth with 1,685 chips. Steve O's just typed on my table that his typing takes 3 minutes, so the 3 minute delay doesn't bug him, and that's probably true. It's been a fun night. It's good to see that nobody's busted out yet, so we can go and play. As I've said before, I plan to stream this right through to the end. Um, no matter what happens with me, if I happen to bust out first, I'll still be hanging around here, streaming and doing commentary for the uh, for the other tables. So again, you sort of salivate over hands like that in an Omaha High situation. But with no low possibility whatsoever, I'm really counting on there being no low cards come out on the flop. Um, and that's just not something that you really want to count on. I mean, I suppose I can get involved for 30 chips, but it's just not going to be profitable often enough, I don't think. So, all right, Roz, I'll certainly do that. I think doing it as a weekly tournament would be great. I'm not 100% certain that Sunday night is necessarily the best, and maybe a Sunday afternoon tournament might be better to get in so that people from North America and people from Europe can get into it relatively easily. Um, but yeah, we'll certainly get a hold of you, and we'll certainly set something else up. I want to do this as a weekly thing for sure. Wow, that's harsh, Roz. That is really harsh. I can't believe that you're still loading the stream. I think this is one I'm going to get involved with. I think the last one was one I should have gotten involved with too. I think I had 4, 5, 6 there, which is something I probably should get involved with when you're playing high-low. The fives are pretty powerful cards in a high-low context, of course, because a lot of your lows are going to end up with a five in them. So I think they're definitely worth putting some chips in the pot with. Um, and we've actually drawn pretty darn good for our hand. The fact that the ace comes out is helping us because it takes away the ace deuce, which is the most common hand that somebody's going to play with for low, and it cripples that hand for us. We've got the deuce, so we got the next biggest. Now, having the five means that there's a three deuce, a four deuce, and a 4-3 out there that beat us, and Fadian seems to be raising big. I'd almost think that puts him on aces in some in some way. Certainly, I think if we were playing Omaha High, I'd be putting him on aces with the way that he's playing. It doesn't necessarily have to be the case with him. There's lots of ways that he can play like this with a hand weaker than aces, but that certainly looks that way now. The deuce three is also a good possibility here, I think. Hitting the 5 kind of bites for us. The deuce 3 has just completely crippled us, of course. We do have a 6-5 4 deuce ace for our low. So we're not in horrible shape that way. I think we probably have to... We probably have to get rid of that. I don't think that we're going to be good on our low often enough, and we don't have a high to play with there. So I don't really think that we can expect to win that very often. Even take half the pot there very often. They will be archived for later viewing, Roz. There's no question about that. I'm archiving everything here and also over at YouTube. So if you guys want to check out my YouTube channel, Elron6900, I'm over there as well with the archives. So we've just hit a pair of aces, but we've killed our low hand. So 6-1, half dozen of the other in this case. Not a very fun situation for us to be in. With the flush out there, it's also now people aren't betting, but I still don't think it's profitable for us to be putting money in because it could be just people waiting for things to go. I don't think Lane would have checked a flush on the turn, so I'm going to call him here. Yeah, I'm wrong on both ends, so... You're everything, Lane. You're low, you're high. Scoopage for Lane again. So far, this is going rather poorly for me. I'm sure that's because people are listening in on the stream and getting my strategy and therefore using it against me, and I'm sure that's got to be the only reason that I'm losing. I think we've got enough. I think we're going to check through and see the flop and decide what our equity is then. I mean, I think we got a fair bit of equity in a hand like this, and we can probably call, or I mean raise. We could have raised there profitably enough most times. Maybe I'm a bit gun shy from the ways that we've been losing lately. So we're definitely drawing nice on our low. We've just paired our 7, which gives us a pair of 7s. And we've still got our gut shot straight draw up top for high. So I think we're doing reasonably good. I think we're going to throw money in this pot and see if Gilly wants to keep playing. She does want to keep playing. Well, we've just hit our queen for the Broadway. So we're happy on high, and we know that there's no low. So I think what we're going to do is we're actually going to put some pressure on her. Yeah, and we're going to split the pot for high. I figured that makes good sense. Once she calls there, or insta calls there, I know the ace king is the only thing she's there with. Yes, I agree. This was an interesting hand, Ken. I still don't know what Fadian was playing, but you can see what I was playing there, and I got rid of the 6. I got rid of the 6 deuce because I didn't think that there was any way that I was going to take a low pot with that. I'd love to hear your opinion on whether you think that that was the case or not. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might be wrong. Was it second to nut low, or was there another nut low in there? Was there not a 4 deuce and a 3 deuce possibility in there for the low that was taking me out? I'm not sure. Well, yeah, it probably was a super tight fold. Yeah, you owned us for sure on that one, Fad. Good job with that. Made me really think about the low. Yeah, I had the six. I had the. Yeah, so I was on either the second or maybe the third nuts um, for low. I don't know. For some reason, I was convinced you were on a deuce or on the low that beat me. Well played by you, poorly played by me is probably the way to put that one. Pair of aces, or sorry, pair of eights here with the three hearts, eight deuce low. I'm probably not going to play that to a raise from lane under the gun. I think I could probably safely get rid of that. I'm also playing in the Poker School Online Premier League off stream as well, so I might hesitate every once in a while I make decisions over there. I just had to shove over top of somebody with ace jack over there. It's probably not the smartest thing to be doing, but yes, Lane is still in, so that means that Ken's book must be very good because Lane knew nothing about 08 before he sat down with this. So he says, and he's winning some. He's the closet 08 shark. I agree with you, Roz. Alrighty, so our standings now. Fadian's back up atop with that with a couple of big pots. Wazzy Beer from the UK is here in second. Miss Gilly is sitting in third with 2020 chips. Wazzy Bear is just taking over the lead for the record at 2160 with Fadian at 2025, Miss Gilly at 2020. GTWI is fourth place at 1933, and Farrer Hill is fifth with 1805. Yeah, no, I think we'll get rid of that hand. Yeah, I probably, as Jason Somerville might say, I was probably a nit bitch on that one. Too much so, but hey. DKE slips, just scooped a pot with an ace high flush and 5-4 3 deuce ace. The nuts for low. This is a playable hand. 10 jack ace plays to high straight possibilities. The 8 ace plays for low, but doesn't play very good for low. So I think we'll just get rid of that. Um, I'd certainly I'd rather be playing that if it was like a 4 or 3 ace, 5 ace even. The 8 at the top of the low range is just not going to. For the record, your low hand in this game, if you've never played before, I'm sure most people here have, but if you haven't, your low hand has to qualify as 8 or less in order to actually be a low hand. So just something to keep in mind when you're playing to split the pots. Alrighty, I think we're staying involved with this. The ace three is pretty strong. Obviously, the 10 jack, the two spades. Um, that's obviously not the friendliest flop in the world for us. We got no low possibilities, and the 10 obviously hits us, but the king, with everybody checking around, I guess it's less likely that there's a king out there, but I still think that somebody checking a king is a possibility there. Um, I think we'll check through one more round, see what the river brings. I think we're gonna probably be putting money into this on the assumption that we've got the top high hand. Um, Apparently, we did have the top high hand there, so I probably could have taken it down on the turn as well. So it was a bit dangerous going to the river because obviously somebody could have rivered out on me there. But this is the kind of hand that's really kind of pretty. When you improve with your ace, with your pair of threes, it still works with your 5-ace low hand. So this is the sort of paired with a couple of low cards that you want to be playing with in a high-low context. This is exactly the sort of thing. We've just hit our flush, including a straight flush draw, which is obviously a good hand for us. So we're going to put chips in the pot. We're going to hope other people put chips in the pot with us. We are nutting out for low now. We are completely nutting out for low. Ken's just said, please don't let me be the first to bust. That would be kind of interesting. So we've nutted for low, and we've got a very, well, not a very strong, but we got a strong high. Obviously, there's other hearts. There's obviously other heart flushes out there. But that was a pretty hand. I mean, I'm not nutted on top, but I'm nutted on the bottom, and I'm close to nutted on the top. So that got us some chips back, which was nice. That puts us up into third place, 1900. First place is Wazzy Beer, 2885. Second place, Miss Gilly, 2095. Third place, yours truly. Fourth place, Fadian, 1710. And fifth place, DKE Slips, 1615. So we got backdoor clubs. We've got our low draw has been somewhat killed out by the 3. I'm going to stay in for one more. I'm going to stay in for the turn and see what the turn brings. The paired 4 is obviously not great for us, and I think we're probably going to check fold in this. Oh, he's checked through for us. That's interesting. So we have actually hit 8-7, 4-3 deuce. So we're not in horrible shape here. We're not in great shape, but we're not in horrible shape. Yeah, he's going to scoop the pot. I was one of those bets where I didn't really think that I was winning necessarily. But I was pretty sure that I couldn't win if I didn't bet. I want to see this ace deuce with the spades and queen king ace up top for decent Broadway possibilities and high pairs. So I'm pretty happy with this sort of hand. 2 spades with not much of a low and a pair of kings. So we got top pair and our nut spade draw. So we're pretty happy with that situation, I think. And if low cards do come in, we're still nutted on the lows. So I think we're going to keep putting money in this pot, frankly. I mean, we're obviously losing high right now to a king 9 or a king 8 or any set that might have flopped. We're now losing to anything with an 8, so I don't think we're going to raise anymore. We've also lost our low. We've also lost our nutted low here. So I think at this point we're just going to check call through. I think that with the pair of kings up top, we're still reasonably happy with the ace kicker, although this could easily be 2 pair or even 8s full of kings. So 9s full of 8s. Yeah, same deal. What do you mean by a 3-card hand, Steve? Oh, Can Hitman is the first casualty out. He did admit in tweets, I will say, that he had never played anything but HoldEm before he joined this tournament. So it was very nice of him to come in and join. I'm glad to have him around. And hopefully he'll stick around with anything but HoldEm, and we can get him playing some of the other games. Alrighty, this is the sort of hand that we absolutely want to play, and I think we're gonna play it for a raise. We got the ace deuce for our low with the 4. Um, and again, I mean, we flop top pair, so we're not terrible. This flop isn't horrible for us, but it's obviously not great either because our nut lows are not drawing out for us. Um, it's pretty crappy when you got nut low and it doesn't, and there's no low that comes out. But hey, that's the way it goes sometimes. I liked deuce 5 until I saw that flop, or I liked it reasonably, but we're getting out of there now. DKE's running away with things. Wazzy Beer is still up top with 31.88. DKE's running away with our table. 29.40 in second place overall, with GTWI at 28.75 in third. Got our nut low again. Those haven't been working out great for us, but we'll see. Well, this time at least we got 2 low cards on the flop, so we've got a very solid nut low draw. We've got some high draws with the 10 gives us a gut shot straight as well. So I think that we're going to stick around in this pot for sure. That just has done horrible things to our low, of course. So we're not having really good luck with board cards coming out, and I think we've probably got to get out of this hand now because we can no longer really count on getting any sort of a decent low. I think we got to get out of the hand. Now we would have had 8-7-5 deuce 1, but anyone with a 4 ace or a 3 ace. Wow. So I would have taken Lane because Lane had the 7 ace. So I should have stayed in that pot. I'm making bad decisions this game is basically what it comes down to. This one coming in might have been bad until I sucked out on the 6s. That said, with the way this game is going, he's probably got a 6 as well with a better kicker on me. He's probably got the ace 6. But I think we're going to throw money into this pot anyways. I think we're probably going to be willing to put all of our chips in on that. Um, Ace 4-4-5 double suited. I think we're going to be involved in that as well. The club draw came in. Of course, the club draw is our low flush draw. We've also just turned a gut shot straight. Yeah, Steve. Actually, those can be good cards. Steve's just asked about cards where you've got three good coordinated cards in your hand and one that's a throwaway. Yeah, I will certainly play those because especially in 08, the throwaway can often pair the board and give you a start on a high hand as well. So it's definitely worth playing those, I think. So we paired the 7. We don't have any low. We've basically got at this point a pair of 7s and 4s. Which means I was lucky enough to scoop the pot from Wayne's. How did I have a flush? Oh, I did get a flush on the end. Misread my hand there. I should have obviously bet that because I had the flush, although it wasn't the nut flush, but it was still the flush. It wasn't a slow roll. It's crappy flush. I mean, come on, it's crappy flush, right? there's like 7 flushes better than mine. Yeah, actually, no, Lane, you wouldn't have lost anymore, but well, that gets us back some chips that we lost to DKE on that rather horrible set of decisions that we made against him a while back. We would have paired our 6, but the 6-4 isn't getting us anywhere on low. There is no low. We would have got 6s and jacks, which is not a terrible place to be, but not a great place to be either with the straights happening up here. Oh no, Wazzy Beer is gone. Wazzy Beer is up near the top, and Anthony has now just soared into the chip lead and is now sitting up top with 39-13. So our current standings are WTF Anthony in first place with a whopping chip lead of 3,913. Second place, DKE Slips at 2219. GTWI in third at 2118. Ferrer Hill in fourth at 1855. And Miss Gilly in fifth at 1845. Alrighty, so the deuce 6-7 with the 6-7 paired. I'm probably not going to get terribly involved with that. I think I'll probably see a flop and decide from there where I go. The paired 6. I'm not really winning any prizes for low, even though the ace could have crippled his low. I'm probably getting out of that, I think. This is one I think I want to play. We've paired our 9. We've had our low somewhat crippled by hitting the deuce, but we're still not in terrible shape there. I think we're going to see at least one more card here. We've just turned into a flush draw. We've lucked out on our flush. We're probably going to put money in the pot just because I think we need to. I was thinking that splitting with him was going to be like the likely possibility. Everyone loves a chop pot. I think I might actually get sued by the EPT people for that one. Alrighty, well, we're coming up on the break now. Or soon. I think double suited with the pair of threes. Even though the 3-5 is not the strongest low hand in the world, it can certainly flop into a decent low hand. I think hitting the diamonds there, we have to continue. And again, we've hit the diamonds. We have hit a 8-6-5, 3 deuce low, and we've got the diamonds high. So I really think we have to put money into this pot. And once again, we split it up. This happens quite a bit. Pair of aces with the ace-4 for low and the ace-king plus spades for high, I think is definitely worth putting money into the pot with. King, king, queen, 7 with one suit, less so, and I think I'm actually going to open fold that. Ken might laugh at me for open folding that, but hey, that's just the way it goes. Building our chip stack back up again. Anthony's still way up at the top there at 39.38. GTWI is in second now with 1918. Miss Gilly in third with 1845. DKE Slips in fourth with 1815. And 85 Fastlane in fifth with 1750. Our illustrious Poker News Canada editor. Alrighty, I think we're coming up on break here in a minute, according to the lobby here. It's kind of weird the way the break went, but that's three deuce queen queen. I think that's something that we're gonna definitely see a flop on, anyways. The clubs don't help us. The Jack 10 doesn't help us in any way. The 6 plays to our low a little bit, but we definitely don't have a strong enough hand at this point, I don't think, to be putting a ton of chips in. I'm gonna fold this out. Even well, I think with the overpair, I think I've got to see. I think I've got to see more. The clubs coming through really does cripple our high hand, I think. But we did get a low coming in, so I think we're gonna keep going. The low is there. I don't think that we're very happy for high, but I think we might take the low down. Yeah. I think the break will start up within a minute. We got an ace deuce here, so it's definitely something that we want to play. We're pretty happy with that flop. We've flopped into spades. Our low draw is still live. We just hit our low draw, so we're playing the nut low. So I think we're putting money into this pot with abandon at this point. We might be splitting the nut low, obviously, with somebody else. That's always a possibility. But with the flush draw coming up as well, I mean, I think we have no excuse but to put money into this pot. So we didn't hit the flush. We didn't hit our high. And we ended up having the low. So it wasn't actually the best result possible, but it was a result. Alrighty, I'm going to step away from the mic for a few minutes and take a bit of a break. I will be back shortly. Chat amongst yourselves, folks. And I'm back. Got a minute left in our break. We still got WTF Anthony at the top of the table with over 4,000 chips now. He's running away with the thing. DK Slips is in second now with 24.25. Rosalind AKKA in third with 1964. Miss Gillian fourth with 1945. And Lanny M making the first appearance in the top five with 1740. A little later tonight, I plan to be back on streaming again with a Raz tournament with my Sunday Raz, named after the British tradition of Sunday roast. I figured I'd do a Sunday Raz every Sunday evening at 9:20 on Stars, 9:20 Mountain Time. That is on Stars. There's a regular Raz tournament that I used to be obsessive about playing. I haven't played it nearly as often in the last few months, but it's fun to jump into every once in a while. I played it last week for one of my first streams, and I'm going to jump into it again tonight later, assuming that this tournament has finished by then. I'm going to stream this one until the final card is dealt. Alrighty, first card back with an 8-7-7-3. This is the sort of hand that we could definitely play. I don't necessarily think we want to get involved with it with Fadian going big with the small stack there. I think we're going to fold this out and let DKE and Digicision make their decisions. Well, we probably should have been involved in this hand by the look of the cards that came out on the flop. That being results oriented, of course. I think this we definitely with the 4-5-6. There's like the lows and good straight possibilities for highs in there. So I think we have to be playing it. I think we have to keep putting money in the pot at this point. That was a bit annoying. So we're down to second last. However, I'm in good company at the bottom of the tournament with Digicision in 11th, right below me, with 115 less chips than I have. That said, chip in a chair, we can always win these things. We got a reasonably good low going over here. Pair of jacks for high isn't great with the king on board. I think I probably can't really afford to fold this with the low draw that I have. When I break out the low and the diamonds come in, I don't think Lane's on the diamonds. He would have bet the flop if he was on the diamonds, I think. And I think he would have bet the flop if he was on kings as well, if he was on, like if he had a king in his hand. But I still think I'm just going to check back. Wow. Sixes full of eights and no low. I am getting my butt kicked in this, and I may well be the next person out here, because I think that this is one that I probably want to play most of the time. The A6, I'm going to fold this and wait for another hand. I probably needed to. I end up with a crippled low, and I mean, at best, I think I'm going to split this pot at this point, and at worst, somebody has a better high and a better low, and actually has a low rather than my crippled one. Well, Ken's just jumped up a couple of spots, put me in last place with 185 chips. Well, I put myself in last place with 185 chips. I'm obviously playing this hand. We're going all in. We're going to get him to call the 35, and we're going to play it down to the river. I think I took that. Oh, we ended up splitting it. I think again I got to play that with the suit, the pair of aces, and the 8-6 with the stack that I have. I really have no choice, I don't think. Just hope good things happen on the flop. So 8s and 7s now. If somebody has a 7, we're dead, of course. Dead to the 8. Oh no, we've got a full house. I didn't see my other 8 in my hand. I'm misreading my hand. So we're good for high, and we're probably good for low. Wow. Alrighty, well that's me done for the night. So I guess I'm in commentating duty now rather than playing duty. So that's cool. I'm gonna pull up the other table as well then, and I'm gonna try to have a look at both tables as they play. So let's pull this one up and observe this table as well. Let's pull this guy over here. And in fact, what I'm going to do is this. Now, I know this is the wrong tournament. It will be the right tournament in a moment, I believe. It is going to be that one on that screen. And that one. Alrighty, so that is our two tables going now. So our leader by a mile is still Anthony WTF, who is playing 66-63 chips at the moment. DKE Slips is way behind in second at 22.04. Everybody's way behind. I shouldn't say he's the only one way behind. Everybody's way behind in second. Digicision is now in 1975 on the back of his win against me and others, I'm sure, as well. Um, Rosalind AKKA is in fourth with 1814, and Fadian in fifth with 1560. Rosalind just scooped a pot on the second table, which is now just ended, so we're on the final table. And we are going to enjoy the final table. Good game to everyone who made it to the final table. Anthony's chip lead has been somewhat diminished by Rosalind's scoop and just before we flipped over onto this one. He's now down to 54.63. Rosalind is up to 42.32 in second place. Fadian's in third with 33.39. DK slips in fourth with 21.29. Digicision Ken Lowe in fifth, 16.75. Running down the rest of the final table, in sixth we have 85 Fastlane, our Poker News editor Lane Anderson at 11.62. We have Miss Gilly, my good friend, sitting in seventh position at 820 chips, and Fururhill, I'm still having trouble pronouncing that, but I think I butchered it in every possible way now. He's in eighth with 380 chips. Looks like the possibility for a big low and some straights developing on the board here with the deuce, 4, 5, 6. No flushes, obviously, but there's some wicked. The ace three's got a wicked hand right there. So do any of the sort of deuce 3, 3, 4 type hands are playing pretty good there as well. Cool. Yeah, it looks like we may be around for Raz. I can't see this final table taking too much longer to finish playing out. Probably will be done here by within another hour or so. I would guess maybe hour and a half. Blinds are getting up there. Stacks are getting smaller, so people are going to go out fairly quickly, I think. Our first person off the final table, for the record, was Lanny M. I'm not sure if I think the final table started at. Did the final table start at 8, or did we? I'm not sure, but Lanny M was the first off in 9th place. So 8 people remaining. Miss Gilly in the big blind with WTF Anthony in the small blind. Fast lane on the button. Fadian limps in from the cutoff. Anthony calls. Miss Gilly pats through to the flop, which is 7 club, Jack Heart, 10 spade. Goes check, check. Anthony wonders what's with the tank by Miss Gilly in the previous hand where they split the pot. Fadian bets and folds out the other 2, collecting a 450 chip pot. Fururhill's down to his final bunch of chips. I'm guessing he's going to be all in on this big blind no matter what he's got. That's probably the best play. Don't be modest now, Roz. We know you've been to your share of final tables. That's a pretty looking flop for an Omaha high-low game. Deuce 4-6. Fairhill, as I predicted, is all in. Deuce 4-6-7. We got some definite possibilities happening here. The Ace-3 is the nut low, of course. Everybody takes some flops. Everybody takes some chips out of that one. Ken is begging for a scoop. He pulled some pretty good chips out of that pot there, though, so that wasn't a terrible spot for him. Anthony bets out onto a fairly wet board. To Fairhill all in again, and again they split the pot. Anthony takes it with high, with a straight for high, and Farrer takes the low pot. Anthony's raised the pot again on Rosalind's big blind this time. He's in the hijack spot. Trying to run away with the table, I think. Seems to be playing pretty aggressive. And takes down the pot on the flop. Lane's put 400 of his last 554 chips in on this on a raise under the gun +1. So you got to think he's playing a pretty strong hand, or thinks he's playing a pretty strong hand, anyways. And he's put the rest of his chips in as well, so he's all in. Lane's all in with a pair of aces, ace-5 for low. And Anthony takes the whole thing down, knocking out two players, DK Slips and Lane. Both done. So that puts Anthony at a massive chip lead again with 8,653. Roz is coming up second with 3,132. Fadian in third, 34-14. Digicision in fourth, 16-27. Fairhill in fifth with 766. Miss Gilly in sixth with 708. Rosalind raised from the button after Anthony checked the flop. Jack on the flop, 8-8-9 Jack board is pretty wet for highs. No lows possible, and Rosalind takes the pot down. Miss Gilly's raised under the gun to 400, got called by Fairhill, so there's two small stacks that look like they're going to go at it here. Fairhill's all but all in against her. One thinks that Anthony puts him all in on the flop without question. Yeah, and that's the way it goes. And we're down. Everybody takes a piece of that one, and we've all still in. Miss Gilly's still got 912 chips after the big blind goes in. Fuhrer 643. Anthony's still way up top with 79.72. Anthony betting aggressive again in that one. Small blind into big blind. With his stack, that's probably going to be the strategy he plays for most of the rest of the tournament until it starts going south on him for a while. He's got to be bullying the small stacks. That's really the only way that he's going to be able to play this effectively is to bully the small stacks. Gilly's all in again. She takes it down, scooping the pot with no low hand. Pair of tens puts her up to 16-24 and vaults her into fourth place. That actually puts her almost in a money position. Of course, 3 places are being paid. But that definitely puts her in a more comfortable position. We've got a 4-way pot happening here with no low on board at all. Pair of jacks is showing on the board as a possible high. Rosalind takes it down with a pair of 5s added to the jacks on board. So she's clawing her way back up to close to Anthony. Miss Gilly and Anthony are at it again. Miss Gilly's all in again. Ace, king, king, 3. And Anthony scoops the pot with 2 pair aces and 8s and no low hand. Miss Gilly is out in 6th place. Alrighty, Fairhill was all in again, and he ended up scooping that pot to give himself 772 chips again. He's just living on the edge, but he's surviving, which is all you need to do at the end of the day in this game. So we're down to 5. 3 people pay out here. So there's 5 left, 3 pay. We've got Anthony up top with 96.41, Rosalind in second with 57.89, Fadian in third, 25.71, Fairhill in fourth, 1944, and Digicision in fifth with 527. Anthony's putting chips into this pot with a 9 heart, 10 spade, 2 club board, and he takes it down on the flop with no opposition whatsoever. 94.69, closing in on that 10,000 chip point. And that's it. Ken Lowe is all in and all out of our first ever tournament. Thank you very much for playing, Ken. We really appreciate having you here. I hope you'll come back for some of our other ones. We're gonna keep we're gonna keep doing these with a variety of games every week, and hope you come check out the streams as well. I'm gonna try to play as many of the different games as possible on anything but Hold'em. That is as many of the games except Hold'em, of course, because you can see that everywhere. Appreciate you coming by and playing. There's now 4 left, which means we are on the money bubble, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have another look at how the money pays out. The next person, or the third place person, will get $2.60. So next out gets 0, followed by $2.60, followed by $3.90, followed by $6.50 for the winner. Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate that, man. I really appreciate you coming by, and I appreciate your praise, buddy. Fairhill, clawing his way back from a small stack now, has the third highest chip stack with Fadian in fourth. And Fadian getting involved in a capped pot on the flop. And again, a capped betting round on the turn to put him all in with the flush, with the top flush, and the low to scoop the pot from Anthony. It's one of the few times that we've seen somebody scoop a pot from Anthony of any size. Anthony's still in the lead with 72-25, but that diminishes his lead quite significantly. Fadian now in second place with 52-42. Rosalind in third with 42-89. Fairhill in fourth with 17-44. This is an exciting game so far. We got Anthony in the small blind, Fairhill in the big blind. Anthony limps. Check 3 to the flop of Queen Spade, 2 Diamond, 9 Club, Ace Spade on the turn with check check on the flop. Bet call on the... We got a cap betting round, it looks like, on the river. With Fear taking the spade flush for high and Anthony taking the low. Split pot. Rosalind takes that pot down with high card ace. Things are a bit more even, and the action's getting a little bit hotter. This pot is 3-handed between Fadian, Anthony, and Fairhill. Rosalind sitting this one out. 8 Diamond, 6 Heart, 10 Spade flop. Bet call fold by Anthony, call by Fair, fold by Fadian. Bet call by Anthony, and then Fair bet on the King Club river. Bet, and Anthony takes down the pot uncontested on the river. 82-25 for Anthony, still in first place. Rosalind now in second with 51-89. Fadian in third, 45-42. Fairhill in fourth, 13-44. Ace-Ace-4 flop could be an interesting flop. People playing Ace-X lows have just had their lows capped out, and they don't like that. But they don't mind seeing the 3 aces. So it's one of those things that's a little of this, a little of that. Spade flush just came in with a deuce 5 for the straight flush. And there's bet calls happening all the way through. Anthony takes a spade flush, and Rosalind takes the low hand. split pot. See a lot of the split pots in the '08 game, obviously, because people end up having strengths in different areas when they get into the hands. So there is a lot of split pots. It's really all about scooping the pots or courting your opponents, though, so that you can take more chips out than you do. The only time scooping is really gonna, the only time splitting is really gonna get you ahead is if you're able to split a three-way or a four-way pot. Then, of course, you're getting the chips from the two people that didn't split anything. But that's still, you're not going to get those nearly as often. You need to be playing for the scoop pots. As Ken said earlier, my kingdom for a scoop. And we're ITM with Fairhill busting as the fourth place player. Thanks for coming by and playing, Fairhill, and sorry you're the bubble boy. Good night, Ken. I'm glad you came by here. Really appreciate it. It's amazing. So our final three in the money are Anthony. WTF Anthony is our good friend Anthony Charter from Poker News Canada with a 10,019 chips. Fadian, who we play with in the PSO leagues all the time, good friend of ours at 48.92 in second, and Rosalind, who we also play with in the PSO leagues all the time, another good friend of 44.39. Who will be the min cash, and who will be walking away with all the money and the Anything But Hold'em trophy for our first ever tournament? There isn't really a trophy, just for the record. Otherwise, somebody might be bugging me and suing me later on for where the hell is my damn trophy? You said there's going to be a trophy on stream. There isn't an actual trophy, but I'm just using the trophy. Championship. How about we say that? Win the first ever Anything But Hold'em championship. Anthony and Fadian in this pot together. There is no low, so it'll be played on high. Anthony's bet in on the river. Fadian said ugh. That's usually not a good sign in in a poker game when your opponent says ugh. Well, no, it's usually a good sign for you if you're the one betting and the other guy's the one saying ugh. It's usually a good thing for. So in that case, it was a good thing for Anthony. That, for the record, was usually a tell. When your opponent bets into you and you say ugh, in live poker, that would be what they call a tell. Rosalind takes that one down. Rosalind v. Anthony to a deuce 3-4 rainbow flop. Deuce 3-4-5 now with the 5 on the turn. A couple of clubs in, so there's a club draw. Rosalind bets, Anthony folds. Rosalind takes the pot. Fadian folds the button. Oh, and Rosalind gets walkies. Or as Anthony would say, Larry Walker. And Fadian gets the walkies as well. Will this be a full orbit of walks, folks? Oh no, Rosalind limps in on the button. Here we were going for a full orbit of walks, and not a chance. No low on this. No low on this hand. 2 clubs, pair of jacks. Rosalind bets, Anthony folds, and Rosalind takes down the pot. Anthony raises from the small blind. Everybody calls in behind him. He's continuing to bet, continuing to lead out, as we've got a 7-4 ace for low on the board with 2 diamonds. He's getting raised into, he's called, and the 6 of hearts has come in on, so none of the flushes came in. We do have a straight possibility with the 3-5 and the 5-8. 3-5 flush, or sorry, the 3-5 straight takes both low and high, and Fadian does the scoop. Scoopage. That vaults Fadian into first place. That vaults Fadian into first place. With 9,092 chips. Against WTF Anthony in second with a 77.69 and Rosalind in third at 26.39. Got a family pot going here that was actually bet up pretty high pre-flop. Couple of high cards with the 3 of hearts low. We got 8-3 developing for low. King queen up top. 2 spades out. No spade draw hit. We've got 8-5-3 for low. So anyone playing ace deuce has got a nut low at the moment. Rosalind takes that pot down without having to show us what she's got. Got Fadian and Anthony in this pot together. There's not going to be a low. Straights on the high. Anthony takes it down with 2 pair of 10s and 5s. No low hand. Anthony bets into Roz's big blind. King, king, 6. Rainbow comes out. Anthony is continuing to lead in. Roz folds. Anthony takes down the pot. Anthony raises his button. Roz folds. Fadian calls in the big or folds in the big blind, and Anthony takes down the pot pre-flop. Fadian limps the small blind. Anthony checks through to see a flop of 7 diamond 4 club ace spade. Goes bet call on the flop, and betting gets capped on a turn of 8 heart. Ace heart on the end goes bet call with a split pot. Anthony taking high with a straight 4 to 8, and Fadian taking the low. Some action developing here as Roz has raised Anthony on 2 successive rounds. And on the river, Roz bets, Anthony folds out. That drops Anthony to 3rd place. For the first time, he is at the bottom of the chip lead, at the bottom of the chip stacks here in a 3-handed play. Rosalind is at the top for the first time with 66.89. Anthony 64.19, Fadian 63.92. So there isn't much between anybody at this point. It's anybody's game. It's all pretty even chip stacks. Anthony's raised small blind into Roz's big blind. She folds and he takes it down. Roz raises, gets called to 2 spots. It's a family pot to a 2 spade 10-3-4 board. Five, 4, 3 plays for low. Still on a spade flush draw. Anthony's bet, Roz is raised. Roz is check raised that. Thinking that she's probably got the ace deuce. Yes, she does for a scoopage pot. 93.89 puts her well out in front. We have a new chip leader. Eight five deuce plays for low. None of the flushes came in. Anthony bets and takes it down uncontested on the river. Thadian raises the button. Gets calls from both other players for a three-way pot. Checks all around on the flop. Turn comes five of clubs. Five of hearts on the river, and we've checked all around. Anthony has bet the river. Has let out on the river. Roz and Anthony are splitting the pot. Anthony with three of a kind fives. Roz, of course, with the 6-5-4-3 ace low. Roz is limped in on Anthony's big blind. 9-10 jack on the flop, rainbow. So there's going to be no low. Six diamonds on the turn. Brings a diamond draw, which does not come in with the eight of spades on the river. Anthony bets, Roslyn folds. Anthony takes the pot. Fadian's the bottom of the chip count now, 23-42. Anthony and Roz are pretty close, with Roz at 92.39, Anthony at 79.19. Anthony clawing his way back up to the chip stacks again. Chip in a chair, Fadian. Chip in a chair. And Anthony scoops the pot to go heads up. It's a very good game, Fadian. Well done. So it's Anthony and Roz heads up. Chip stacks are pretty even, with 10K 711 for Anthony to 87.89 for Roz. It changes a little bit now that Anthony took down that pot, but it's not too far off, and easily, one double up by Roz, and Anthony's crippled and she's in great shape. So it's not that big of a lead at the moment. Queen 7-7 on board. There's going to be no low this playing for highs. Which Anthony takes three of a kind sevens. Anthony is clawing his way out in front with 14,106 or 311 now to 51.89 for Roz. So Anthony's taking quite a substantial chip lead. Called through to a flop of all hearts, 8-4-9. Roz bets, Anthony folds, and Roz takes the pot down. Roz takes another pot with two pair that time, no low hand. Roz is slowly chipping up, taking small pots here on a regular basis now. Anthony's raised the button and Roz is called. There's both low and highs developing. The flushes obviously come in. There was a limped pot that we checked through on. No low this hand. 2 flush draws. Anthony bets and takes down the pot. Another limped pot goes to Anthony with roughly a 2-1 chip lead. He's raised his big blind this time when Roz is limped into him. This is the first time this has happened. She's called behind. 10 diamond, 6 diamond, 9 spade. Bet call. 5 heart on the turn. Bet and fold by Roz. Anthony takes an 1800 chip pot. Anthony raises from the button. Roz calls. Jack heart, 7 club, ace heart. Check. Bet. Raise. Call. Deuce turn. Roz bets. Anthony folds. Roz scoops a 2400 chip pot. Blinds going up to 400, 800, or stakes going up to 400, 800, I mean. 559 rainbow flop. Anthony bets. Roz takes it down. Or Roz folds. Anthony takes it down. Then he raises the button. Roz calls. Deuce spade, queen spade, 8 club. Roz checks. Anthony bets. Roz calls. Ace spade on the turn. Check bet. Fold. Anthony takes a pot of 2400 chips. Roz folds the button. Anthony gets Larry Walker's. Yeah, it was well played, Fadian. I mean, you couldn't do much there at the end. You just got deserted by the deck there at the end. Nice job to pull down 260 though. You made a profit for sure. Two, 3, 4, 2 club flop is wet in 08, especially with a 5 on the turn. It's dripping wet. Could have some big hands coming out here. Deuce 6. Scoopage for Roz. It's been a pretty good heads-up battle so far. There's been a lot of back and forth. Roz is definitely holding her own and trying to chip herself back up. Anthony's almost back up to a 2-1 chip lead again, but not quite there. Low draw came in on the river with 5-3 deuce. That one got to 3 bets, and we ended up splitting the pot. Anthony taking low, Rosalind taking high. Roz got a walk on that one. She limps. Anthony raised his big blind. She called. 3-4-7.